Hey, are you busy? There's been a development with the attempted theft, and we may need your help. Please swing by my office as soon as you can.
And I have enrichment capability. That's the sticking point. 11 to today. The mainstream publications didn't even want to report on it because they wanted to pretend. That's the sticking point. On Iran last night, and somewhere, and all the armies, I liked it. The State of the Union first. Good evening, everybody. You're watching.
It's going to be only America first. America first. The American people will come first once again.
Good evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We have a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Wednesday. We have a lot to talk about, lots to get into. Big show. Our featured story tonight, we're talking all about the State of the Union address last night. And I got to be honest with you, I was wrong. I was wrong about the State of the Union. If you watched my coverage last night, I liked it. I actually loved certain parts of it. But I predicted that it would not be received very well. I thought that most people, who I perceive to be pretty cucked, most normies, I think, in my mind, are not really hip to what's going on. I thought they were going to hate it. I thought they would think it is divisive and wild and off the rails. But the normies loved it. And all the polls show that a vast majority of people, everybody that watched the State of the Union, had a positive reaction. Over 60% of people that watched it said it was good. Even more than 40% of Democrats said the speech was good. So we'll talk a little bit about the State of the Union. That being said, I don't think it moves the needle. And I watch very closely on Polymarket. looking at the betting odds for the House of Representatives in 26, odds are unchanged. So as far as impact is concerned, I don't know that it has extraordinary impact on the midterm elections or maybe even anything else. But I will say I'm a bit surprised, and I'm maybe pleasantly surprised, that the masses received the speech very well. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk tonight about the situation unfolding in Iran. Some very important developments in just the last 24 hours. For starters, about the State of the Union. There was no new position given on Iran last night. And some were expecting that there might be a declaration of war. Some people said that Trump might make the case for a declaration of war during the speech last night. But we didn't get that. What we got instead was actually a sort of interesting statement, and we'll go into it tonight. During the State of the Union, Trump talked specifically about nuclear weapons. He said that Iran has to pledge not to build nuclear weapons. And this is something actually that he's been saying. He actually said that yesterday afternoon, that he's looking for these magic words from Iran, that they're not going to pursue a nuclear bomb. And what is interesting is that is distinct from the U.S. red line up until this point. As we've discussed, in these negotiations between Iran and the United States, the central issue inside of the nuclear issue is their native enrichment capability. That's the sticking point. Now, if Trump is saying all of a sudden that really it's about nuclear bombs, well, then that's now a new red line. That's a different red line. If up until this point they were saying we're requesting zero enrichment, but now he's saying what we're really after is no nuclear weapons, well, that might sound like a subtle change, and it might sound maybe like it's not even a difference with a distinction, but it is. And it's a big one, because those are two very different things. That being said, we heard this last night and yesterday afternoon, but now today we have two other Trump admin officials, the Secretary of State and the Vice President, who are giving a totally different message. J.D. Vance, Vice President, says this afternoon that the U.S. has evidence Iran is rebuilding a nuclear weapons program. Well, I don't think that's true. And that is new. That is news to me. There has been no reporting that Iran is building a nuclear weapons program at all. There's no verification or confirmation on that. There's no evidence of that. And if they're rebuilding a nuclear bomb in any significant capacity, once again, that's news. You have just broken news, because no one has ever heard of this. So it's very interesting. Vance comes out today and says Iran is making a nuclear bomb. So if you were feeling good about the statement last night, well, this is not so good. Later in the day, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, came out and said that if Iran is unwilling to discuss its ballistic missiles, he said that's a big problem. Well, if you now insist that Iran must make concessions on its ballistic missile program, now you have completely scuttled diplomacy. Because the entire framework for the talks is that it is only about the nuclear file. Iran has said it is a non-starter to even talk about those other issues. As a precondition for negotiations, Iran said we're not talking about missiles and we're not talking about proxies. We're only talking about the nuclear file. It's just the nuclear issue. So if the new position from Washington is that now the ballistic missile program has to be a part of the deal, well, if there was any chance there could be an understanding tomorrow when the third round of talks is held, I don't see how that's going to happen. Because the whole framework for the discussion, and I should add, the Ayatollah only gave the Iranian government permission to negotiate with the expectation that these other issues were not on the table. So if suddenly the ballistic missiles have become a sticking point, if that's now a wedge, well, I don't see how we can proceed diplomatically at all. And it's tomorrow. As a matter of fact, it's in a few hours. They'll be meeting in Switzerland. I think the time over there is 4 or 5 a.m. So we're talking in a matter of, 5-6 hours, something like that. There is going to be this third round of talks, and we have sprung on Iran all of a sudden. They're apparently rebuilding a nuclear weapons program, and now they also have to make concessions on ballistic missiles. There may be a silver lining, and I'll talk about what that is. There might be another way to interpret that where it is not as bad, but either way, I don't like what I'm hearing. So we'll talk about it. We'll get into all the details. But those are going to be our two big stories for tonight. That's going to be our show. Before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. Check out our merch store at Fuentes.store. We have the America First hats, sweatshirts, t-shirts. We have the quarter zip. Might be your last chance to get the quarter zip. This is going to be a seasonal item, so make sure you get it while it's hot. As it's trendy right now. You want to get it and you want to wear it as soon as possible in public, if possible. Maybe at a work function or something. That's Fuentes.store. If you want to support the show, subscribe on our subscription website, AmericaFirst.plus. $15 a month, you get access to the archive of every episode of the show. I had to burp there. $100 a month, you get access to the group chat with me. I am in the group chat on Telegram. $100 a month club. And I'm not happy with the $100 a month subscribers. We're having to change up the rules because they are very annoying. It's crazy. You know what it is? It's like anything else. We have this $100 a month group chat. And you would think it's just like the highest level people that are going to pay the entry fee. But like anything else, you have maybe 90% of the people buy it, and they're totally chill. They don't even talk that much. They just kind of hang out. But then you have like a dozen people that ruin it for everybody. They don't shut the fuck up. They just talk all day and just say the dumbest stuff. And you're like, dude, shut the fuck up. Dude, I literally crashed out like 5 minutes before the show because people are tagging me, and they're just tagging me with nonsense. They're just tagging me to say, hey, bro, I love the show. It's like, I know you're paying me $100 to be in the group chat. I know you love the show. You don't need to give me a notification every 5 seconds. Hey, man, I love the show. Literally, at me, love the show, I get a notification. It's like, dude, I'm getting ready for the show. And you are blowing up my phone. You're interfering with my Spotify playlist on my JBL speaker with your insipid commentary. So we're actually going to change the rules. We're implementing a card. It's like this group chat. It's a war, and I'm in there. I'm in the trenches. It's good content if you're an observer. If you're in it, like me, you're in it. We're going to implement a karma system. Where if you get downvoted, you get restricted to, I don't know, maybe a certain amount of messages per day. We're thinking of solutions. It's like black people at the water park, you know? It's like Six Flags Great America. If you make the tickets cheap enough, they just come with the bus. You know, they come on the bus, and you know, they just cost a fee. So anyway, but we're having a good time. So check it out. It's America First Plus. Check it out. I am in there. I do drop content every day. I delivered about a 40 minute voice message last night. Really good stuff. Some of my best stuff I actually save for the group chat. Because they're rich and they're paying for it. So I treat them accordingly. But anyway, that's that. We're going to move on. We're going to get into the show. There's not really much else happening. It's been a very slow couple of weeks. Even with the State of the Union last night, We had great viewership last night, 70,000 live viewers, huge massive stream, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in. If you joined us last night, it was our biggest stream of the year so far, I think. We got close to 70,000 when I came back for Venezuela, but I believe that was our biggest stream so far this year, so thanks for tuning in. Even with the speech, I feel like nobody was even talking about it today. And I read the papers every day, and I go on the timeline, and I feel like almost nobody was even talking about it. I think the reason why is because it was honestly a good speech. Maybe that's a testament to the fact that it was good, that the mainstream publications didn't even want to report on it because they wanted to pretend it didn't happen. And I say that I'm being objective. You know I have my criticisms of Trump, and I was pretty critical last night. But I think the reason almost nobody is giving it coverage is because it was a good speech. We will get into that. Here's one thing I wanted to discuss. I thought this was so funny. I saw this on my timeline today. So do you remember when Nick Shirley went out to Minneapolis and he exposed all the fraud among the Somalians and how they're using these nonprofits and welfare scams to steal money from the government to the tune of billions of dollars? Well, I pointed this out back then. I don't know if I said it on the show or if it was on Telegram. But back when Nick Shirley was talking about Somalians, the conservative movement was loving him. Loving him. They couldn't get enough. And he was being promoted by everybody. Libs of TikTok, and he was being promoted by Carrie Lake and all of the usual suspects. Elon Musk. People could not get enough. And then there was another guy who you might know of. This guy, Tyler Oliveira. And he goes to Lakewood, New Jersey. And what he uncovers is that there is an ethnic enclave of ultra-Orthodox Jews. And they're doing really a lot of the same things that the Somalians are doing in Minneapolis. And in the exact same way that there are Muslim Africans in Minneapolis who have set up this enclave and are leeching off the public dole, you have almost the mirror image of ultra-Orthodox Ashkenazi Jews on the East Coast in Lakewood. They're doing the same thing. They have set up an ethnic enclave. They're stealing money. People say in this town that they operate like the mafia. It's like organized crime. So this guy, Tyler Oliveira, does the big expose on the Jews. Does he get promoted by Elon Musk and Carrie Lake, Libs of TikTok? No. No, there is no huge social media boost for him. He's not getting offered a job and a contract, and he's not at the State of the Union. You know what his grand prize was for exposing the fraud of the ultra-Orthodox Jews? He got banned on Patreon.
What?
That was his grand prize.
What?
So you're Nick Shirley. You go to the African, black, brown Muslims, and you go and expose the fraud. Hey, kid, job well done. Would you like a golden ticket? You're going to Hollywood. Come to the State of the Union. I think this kid is going places. You're really something. You know that? Tyler Oliveira, the Jews in New Jersey, crickets. Actually, you're banned also. You can't make money in this town. You'll never work in this business again. You're out of here.
YouTube.
This is a lie. It's an anti-Semitic lie. It's the oldest form of hatred. That you're just jealous. Now, it gets even better. So we're all aware of the situation. It gets even better. So Tyler Oliveira, he gets banned on Patreon. He posts another video the day after, 70-minute expose. It's on YouTube. You should check it out. Nick Shirley replies to his tweet and goes, yes, this is the tweet. Nick Shirley says, expose them all. Big mistake. And now all of his replies are being absolutely bombarded by his former friends, by Jews like Laura Loomer and a bunch of others. Not like this. Not like this, Nick Shirley. Oy vey, you're ruining all the goodwill that you had. You're making a big mistake. You're going down the Kuiper rabbit hole. Literally 500 replies on this reply. And you go, wait a second, so what happened? I thought we were against fraud. I thought we were against ethnic enclaves. I thought we were scapegoating a minority group. Wait, but not like that. No, you can't do it like that. When it comes to, let's be fair, let's be perfectly honest, when it comes to African Somali Muslims, everything is tolerated. Fuck them and their religion and their shithole country. They're criminals and they're low IQ and they're scum and we gotta deport them all and that ain't America. And good on you for exposing the fraud. Expose everything. When another guy does the exact same thing to the Jews, oh, this is another Holocaust, this is fake news, expose them all. But think about the Holocaust. What about October 7th? It could not be more obvious, the double standard. And I don't say this, by the way. I don't say this to white knight for the Somalis. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, think about how that issue is being used. The issue of Somali scammers is being used. It's a valid issue. It's a legitimate issue, but it is being used by a certain interest group to deflect and distract from another issue. How do we know that? Because it's not really about the fraud at all. If it was about the fraud, why would they not want to expose Lakewood, New Jersey? It's about fraud, isn't it? Well, maybe not. They want to expose the fraud of the Somalis, and yeah, God bless. But then when somebody else wants to expose the fraud of the ultra-Orthodox Jews, oh, now we don't want to hear it anymore. Interesting. So if it's not about fraud, what is it really about? And they say, well, it's about this alien culture. They are refugees. They don't like America. They have this foreign culture. Well, can't the exact same thing be said about ultra-Orthodox Jews? They don't even speak English. They speak Yiddish. That's not our culture. They're wearing giant hats from the shtetl, from Poland and Russia. That's not American. That's not our culture. They don't speak our language. They don't practice our religion. They don't have our culture. How is that not exactly the same thing? Once again, people will say, fuck Islam and these Africans. When it comes to the ultra-Orthodox Jews, can't say anything. So again, if it's not about a third world enclave, if it's not about that cultural alienation, what is it really about? Obviously, that whole Somali fraud thing was a big diversion. They are into their big diversion and distraction, which is, let's stop talking about AIPAC, and let's stop talking about Israel, and let's stop talking about foreign aid and all that other stuff, and let's find Muslims to blame. And don't get me wrong, I'm in favor of deporting all the Somalians, but notice they never did that, did they? Did they go into Minneapolis and deport every illegal Somalian? No. And you knew they weren't going to do it. I said it in December. I said unless and until Minneapolis is liberated from the Somalians, I don't want to hear about it. Because all they're doing is talking. All they're doing is creating a media narrative for a week. All they're doing is, and that's it, they're creating a media cycle. They want to get everybody riled up. They want to get everybody whipped up and angry and tweeting about not paying their taxes. And why do we pay taxes? And why do we vote? And what's going on? They want everybody to have that emotional effect. They don't even care about solving the problem because it's not about that. It is literally just about getting everybody to take their eye off the ball. If they wanted to go into Minneapolis and remove all those people, I 100% support that, but they don't even want to get it done. They just want people thinking about it and being mad about it so they don't look at the other issue. It reminds me of a few years ago. Do you remember in 2023, after October 7th, there were these big anti-Israel protests on the college campuses at Harvard, at University of Pennsylvania, at Columbia. And almost immediately, there was this huge effort to get the faculty at Harvard and those other schools terminated. They said, because you tolerated these anti-Israel protests, the whole faculty has to step down. And they wanted to fire the presidents of those universities, and they wanted them to implement all these new rules regarding protests and student safety and other things. And they tried this high-pressure campaign for about a year, and nothing was working. And in the end, how did they get the president of Harvard fired? They came up with this plagiarism scandal. Remember? The president's name was Claudine Gay. She was this black liberal. She was Harvard's first black woman president. They tried to get her fired for a long time. And in the end, what finally pushed her out is that Chris Rufo at the Manhattan Institute published this report that she had plagiarized one of her papers in her academic career. And that was the basis upon which she was fired. What was notable is at the same time that she was exposed for plagiarism, so was Bill Ackman's wife. Bill Ackman, one of the billionaire alumni of Harvard, who was pushing to get Claudine Gay fired, his wife, who was an Israeli Jew, she was busted for the exact same thing. Now, was there a big story about that? Of course not. Were there calls for her to be fired? Was he supposed to resign in shame? No, of course not. But this is the same story over and over and over again. Do they care about plagiarism? No. They have a political goal, and they wanted the black president to be fired and replaced by a Jewish president at Harvard. That's kind of what happened in the White House also. Do they care about fraud? No. Do they care about ethnic enclaves? Not at all. It's just about getting people to take their eye off the ball. And that's the proof. Nick Shirley says, expose Somalians. Yes, 100%, let's do it. Nick Shirley says, expose everybody, including the Jews. They say, oh, oy vey, you're ruining all the goodwill that you built up. You're ruining your career. You're making a big mistake. Shame to see you go down the Groyper rabbit hole. Like clockwork, so predictable. So anyway, I just saw that on Twitter, and it was, it could not be more on the nose. I mean, it's literally beyond parody. So, anyway, so I saw that on Twitter today. I thought it was funny. We have people spamming the group chat, and I'm getting notifications. Love it. I'm honestly just going to turn my phone around because I'm just being distracted by these people. We're going to have to just nuke it or something. Anyway. So that's the whole Nick Shirley situation. I do want to move on, though. I want to get into our big story for the night. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but it is a little bit rich. And I don't know that we ever even got a chance to talk too much about Nick Shirley when all that was going down. I was on vacation, but I had a feeling it was going to go in that direction. I saw everybody, and don't get me wrong, I like him. It's nothing to do with him. He's a good guy. But I saw everybody promoting him and pushing him, and I thought it's so obvious. They are desperate for a young white guy that isn't a Groyper. You know, they're desperate for a young white guy, a young Gen Z white male who's based and who is focused on the Muslim thing or on the brown problem, not talking about Jews, not a Groyper. And so when he came on the scene, and this was about a month after the Tucker cost, oh, they were so relieved, and they did everything they could to promote him. That is until he didn't even make a thing about Lakewood. He just replied to somebody else who did. Now they say your goodwill is running out, kid. Amazing, amazing. But anyway, that's that. I do want to move on. I want to get into the State of the Union address a little bit from last night. Like I said, we had a pretty massive stream. 70,000 live viewers today, so I appreciate you guys checking out my live reaction. And I have to tell you, though, if you watched my coverage last night, I was very critical and very negative. And I have to report reluctantly that I was wrong. Last night I said that the State of the Union was average, ineffective. I said, and ultimately I thought that most people were not going to like it. I said that the average person is going to watch that and think that it was chaotic and divisive and combative. And I thought that it was a flop. But I was wrong. And today, all the polls, all of them, show that the majority of people actually loved the speech. Even the CNN poll, the CNN flash poll after the speech, showed that out of all the people that watched the speech, over 60% of people thought it was good. And that includes 80% Republicans, 40% of Democrats even, a majority of independents. So people liked the speech. And this is a story, this is from CNN. It says, quote, President Trump's State of the Union address drew largely positive marks from a heavily Republican audience, according to a CNN poll conducted by SSRS. But it didn't fully convince significant shares of even that friendly audience that he is focusing on the nation's most important problems or that he'll lower the cost of living. Nearly two-thirds of speech watchers said they had at least a somewhat positive reaction to Trump's speech, with a smaller 38% offering a very positive response. That's a few points cooler than the reception to his address to Congress last year, and falls below the ratings for his first-term speeches in CNN polling. It is similar to the ratings that former President Joe Biden saw during his last year in office. In the pre-speech survey, a majority of viewers said they most wanted to hear about the economy and the cost of living. Nearly half of the audience, 45%, said, based on Trump's speech, that he was focusing too little on the issue, with 53% saying that he had given the issue the right amount of focus. And so, I watched the speech last night, and for me, I actually liked it. And I was cheering for Trump at times. The only reason I felt that people might not like the speech is because I perceive that as maybe self-indulgent. I consider myself to be very far right. And I have been heavily critical of Trump because he's not far right enough. And what was notable about the speech is that he was so antagonistic towards the Democrats, so combative, so direct, literally pointing at them and blaming them for all the problems. That's the Democrats. They want to raise the taxes. They want to take Medicare. They brought the illegals in. And I come from a time, 10 years ago, when Trump first ran, that this kind of thing was really frowned upon. And when Trump used to do this sort of thing, people hated it. At least your average person did. And so I liked it. There were many moments during the speech that I liked. He called them crazy for supporting transgenderism, blamed them for supporting illegal immigration, which killed people, admonished them for not standing for Irina Zarutska's parents. I was literally cheering for these moments when Ilhan Omar was sitting there stewing and seething while Trump called Somalians pirates and scammers. I loved those parts of the speech. I thought they were great, and I thought he was very high energy. And you know what? On some level, he's right. Although I blame a lot of the failures on him and on his incompetence and on his personnel, who I think are terrible. Of course, the only reason we're in this predicament is because the Democrats, they are doing a lot of these things. They are obstructing his agenda with the federal judges and the sanctuary cities. And we are very critical of the White House and the administration. I think they make a lot of unforced errors. I think they're not optimal. They could be much better and more aggressive and everything. But let's be honest, if the Democrats had it their way, this country would be screwed. It's true. At the end of the day, it is true. The Democrats do want to redistribute the wealth to all the non-white people and the foreigners. The Democrats do want to open up the borders and bury the country in immigrants and foreign labor. The Democrats are doing everything they can to prevent the country from working. Even basic things. Voter ID, E-Verify, having immigration enforcement. And these are like the basics. You got 10 million illegal aliens. You really think all those people can or should stay? It doesn't even make any sense. Even if you're a radical, 10 million in 4 years, and what, now they're just here forever? You have to get rid of them. So, it's true. They are the problem. They have gone totally insane. And you see it in the jeering from Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. These people are pieces of shit. I don't care how anti-Israel they are, because that's always the common refrain. People say, well, it's one struggle, and they criticize Israel. They can criticize Israel all they want. They are garbage. Ilhan Omar is trash. Rashida Tlaib is trash. These are disgusting, anti-American pieces of shit. And if you think they're any different from the Jews, you got another thing coming. Think about it. Why is it that we don't like Ben Shapiro? We don't like Ben Shapiro because he thinks he's better than us. He's a chauvinist. He's a Jewish supremacist. He thinks he's better than us. He thinks he deserves to rule us. And he thinks that we exist to serve Israel. We exist to serve the Jews. And he hates Europeans. He thinks that we are inherently racist in our DNA. Literally, how is that different from Ilhan Omar? She believes the exact same thing. She's a chauvinist. She's a supremacist. As a Muslim Somali, she thinks that her piece of shit culture is better than ours. She comes here and she has disdain for white people. She thinks that white men are dangerous and terrorists. She thinks that we're racist, just as Shapiro does. It's not that much different. And so a lot of people get it twisted and they say these progressive Democrats, because they criticize the oligarchs and because they criticize Israel, they're somehow on our side. They are not. Try your hand with the left. Try your luck with the left. It's not going to work out. Was Joe Biden anti-Israel? Absolutely not. And Ilhan Omar, she said it's all about the Benjamins. And then her slave master cracked the whip and she got real quiet, didn't she? Remember that? Some years ago, she said, why do we give money to Israel? Well, it's all about the Benjamins. And Nancy Pelosi, the slave driver, cracked the whip and she piped down. We didn't hear too much more about that for a long time. They're no different. They're no different on the other side. And if they had it their way, we'd be supporting Israel maybe marginally less. The only difference is they hate white people and they'll be bringing more immigrants here. So to me, this is a uniparty. There is really no difference. And a lot of people, they sort of make this mistake where they say, well, we don't like the Republicans because they're with Israel. Hey, so are the Democrats. They're on the same team. It's a uniparty. And anyway, so when I see Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and they're seething and jeering and they hated the speech, I'm like, good, fuck these people. They are the enemy. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, they are the enemy. Look at their faces. Rashida Tlaib has a pin on that says, fuck ICE. First of all, you are a disgusting human being. You are a disgusting, fat, ugly pig. You're a sitting U.S. Congresswoman. You have a pin on your lapel with that vulgarity. You bring that into the actual chamber of our government during the State of the Union. This is third world garbage. What are we? Maybe that flies in the Middle East. Maybe that flies in Pakistan. How dare you? How dare you soil that chamber? And I know that it has its problems, but that's the people's house. That's the U.S. Capitol. That's the house that was built by George Washington and Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin. You bring that into that house, you fucking disgusting pig? Fuck you. Go back to Pakistan. Go back to Egypt with the other filth. She goes in there with it, and that's for opener. She's got a pin that says, fuck ICE. Really? This is what I'm talking about. These people have no decorum. No decorum, no respect. She's wearing a pin, F ICE. And not only is it the vulgarity, but also what's the message? You're an immigrant. You're lucky that you were able to come here. This country, by the way, was built by those white supremacists that you hate so much. You know who built this country that you live in? White supremacists. Every skyscraper, every government building, our Constitution, all the laws, the internet, the rocket ships, the railroads, that's all thanks to white supremacists, okay? George Washington, white supremacist. Abraham Lincoln, white supremacist. They're all white supremacists. And they come here, these parasites, and they leech. They come here in the system that white people built, and that white people fought for, and that white people created, and all they can do then is complain. All they can do is complain about us, heap abuse upon us, bring in more of their own people illegally, and then when we want to get them out, they say, F ICE. F ICE? F you. Go home if you don't like it so much. And that's the both of them, Ilhan Omar with the turban on, and the other one with the button. People say that we're on their side. And pay attention to this. Ryan Grimm, who is a leftist, he's the founder of Drop Site News. They're very anti-Israel. Ryan Grimm is a white male, and he could not be more up Ilhan Omar's ass. He's so far up her ass, if she opens her mouth, you can see him waving inside. Think about that, because I've been saying this all year. Because of this anti-Israel issue, there is this disturbing trend where everybody who criticizes Israel thinks that the left is our ally. We think that Ryan Grimm is on our side because he tweets anti-Israel stuff, and we think that Ilhan Omar is on our side. Max Blumenthal, Hassan Piker, Chunk Uger, these people are not on our side. They're not at all. And it couldn't be more clear when you see what happened last night. Could not be more obvious. Now, that doesn't mean that you got to go up Trump's system. That doesn't mean that you need to be some flag-waving Republican and you got to support Stephen Miller and Trump and all. It doesn't mean you need to go to the other side, but you need to recognize the left, they have their problems too. And I don't know that their problems are any better than the problems on the Republican side. You got Ilhan Omar. She literally said the most dangerous people in America are white men. She said the idea that America should be preserved as a white nation is disgusting. And Ryan Grimm is her biggest fan. I'm sorry, Ryan, aren't you a white male? Hey, Emily Jashinsky from Wisconsin, aren't you a white female? You think you're going to be comfortable in your nation of rape-fugees, you fucking idiot? There is nothing that pisses me off more than self-hating white people. I don't know Ryan Grimm. I don't know Jashinsky. I don't know these people. I'm sure they're very nice. And they're somewhat intelligent. But there is nothing more disgusting than naive, self-hating white people. You stand there next to Ilhan Omar who says whites are disgusting. She's talking about you, stupid. She's talking about you. She's talking about your parents, your ancestors. You sit there and say she's the solution? A pretty little white girl from Wisconsin said, oh, me and Ilhan Omar. Well, good luck in your country of rape-fugees. Go to Cologne on New Year's Eve and tell me how that's going. Go to Birmingham in the United Kingdom. Tell me again that Ilhan Omar is fighting for me. Why? Because she wants Medicare for all? It's ridiculous. So anyway, what was even my point? Here's the point. So when Trump blames the Democrats, he's right. It's not to say that Republicans are perfect or even good. They are deeply flawed and problematic, and I'm not voting for them. But when Trump says it's because of those people, they're raising the taxes, they're supporting sanctuary cities, he's right. It's not to say that there'd be no problems otherwise, but we would have a much easier time if they were more patriotic, if they were just doing their job. And you see what you have to choose from. Unfortunately, the Republican side, as corrupt as they are, look at them compared to the Democrat side. You have Al Green, this ridiculous, you know what? He's there in the gallery holding up a sign that says, "Black people aren't apes." So you got that going on. Then you get the transgender congressman. You see that? When Trump acknowledged the young girl who was forcibly transitioned almost, they pan over to the transgender Democrat Congress, man to woman. Then you get Ilhan Omar seething, screaming like a banshee because Trump calls out the Somalis. She's right next to her homegirl, Rashida Tlaib, with her "fuck ICE" button. I don't know that that's much better, actually. So I was a bit surprised that the speech was well received, but you know what? It's actually a white pill. It shows that people are waking up and they see Trump. And don't get me wrong, like I said, we can say it's a good speech because it's rhetoric. In my view, this has nothing to do with his administration. But the rhetoric of the speech is patriotic. It's talking about the history of our country, about the American Revolution. It's talking about our 250-year birthday. It's talking about veterans, heroes, talking about members of the military, at least paying lip service to the idea of tariffs, of ending wars, of deporting illegals, of law and order. And so that people love the speech, this energetic, combative, aggressive speech. It's actually a very big white pill that those ideas still seem to be popular. Now, here's the thing, and this is what I see as unfortunate. It's like I said last night. I like the speech, but at the end of the day, it is just a speech. And what we saw in the speech last night seems to be totally divorced from the actual governance that we're getting. And so, for example, he goes up there and talks about how Biden opened up the borders, he let in all the illegals, and they killed all these people, and they're getting CDLs, and they're crashing their cars into people. And you go, yeah, amen, absolutely, so true, Mr. President. You'd love to hear that. And people love to hear that. People agree with Trump on immigration. Yet at the same time, they pull out of Minneapolis. Why? See, this is my problem. If every day of the Trump administration were like the State of the Union, then we'd be in great shape. But this is the issue. When they need our vote, that is when you get this bombastic rhetoric. That is when you get the Southern strategy. That is when they play it up. Okay, obviously Trump went out there last night knowing that he's got a lot of ground to cover. He's got a lot of room to catch up here because the Democrats are pulling away with this huge lead in early voting and voter registration, in primary voting for the midterm election. So Trump is going out there knowing, I got to get people back on my side. I got to bring my A game. In a word, he is in campaign mode. And when Trump is in campaign mode, you love him. You love these ideas. You love these policies. If that's what we actually got, hey, we would have no problems. We would be in the third Trump administration already. It would be a Trumpenreich in outer space. Everything would be fine. He's up there talking about tariffs and closed borders and mass deportations and restraining the U.S. military in the Middle East. And you're thinking, yeah, I agree with all this. But then you get Trump as the president, and he just doesn't deliver.
We're good to
And you say, where is it? You've been in office for 1 year. Did you notice, for example? Here's how you know that what I'm saying is true. Did you notice that Trump did not once tout the number of people that have been deported? Not even once. Now, they're claiming in press releases and on Twitter that they have gotten millions of people out of the country through self-deportations and mass deportations. The real figure, which we don't even have, is estimated to be 230,000 for the year. Why didn't Trump bring that up? Why didn't Trump give us the number? If the mass deportations are so popular and so good, and if they're really happening, why not talk about it? Because he really has nothing to show for it. There's no border wall. There are no mass deportations. And if anything, we might get fewer this year than we got last year. There were very few deportations last year, and we may get even less this year. And so again, you say the speech is great. It's white-pilling that these ideas are popular. But where is campaign Trump when he actually has levers of power in the Oval Office? Where has this guy been for the past year? And this is what you find yourself saying. You see him during the election, and you go, where was he in the first term? Then you get into the second term, and you go, just like old times. Then Trump gives the speech. Oh, we're short a couple of percentage points in the approval rating. We're getting killed in the midterms. We got to turn on campaign mode. You go, whoa, where was this guy last year? Well, guess what? We're going to sail through 26. We're going to lose anyway. And it's going to be right back to where we were. And then it'll be more excuses. Oh, well, we can't do it because of the Democrats. We can't deport anybody because of the Democrats. We haven't even bothered to try. And this is my problem. And here is ultimately the saddest thing about that. You don't actually have an infinite number of opportunities. If Trump is branded as a fascist, as the mass deportations guy, as tariff man, all this kind of stuff, and then he fails, guess what? He brings all of those ideas down with him. What is the narrative? Well, the narrative is the reason the Trump administration failed is because he tried to create a unitary executive, because he tried to do tariffs and mass deportations. Now we know that doesn't work. So he's dragging all of it down with him. And you know what's becoming increasingly popular? It is these people like Zohran Mamdani. It is these economic left-wing populists. And if we allow them to get the initiative, they're going to take all these issues from us. And like I said, these are not our friends. These are not our allies. So this is sort of the tragedy of Trump. If you really want to look at it holistically, and if you want to be objective and fair, I think the speech was fantastic. I liked it. And I'm actually very pleased that so many other people agreed. It shows that when you make the case, people agree. When you make the case for deportations and tariffs, and people agree. But the problem is the execution is just not there. It's easy to write and give a speech. It's hard to have those long-term plans, that sustained focus over time, operational and organizational know-how to carry these things out. And the corollary, if you fail while pushing those ideas, you hurt the ideas too. That's sort of that three-part formula. It's great ideas, great speech, but no execution. And unfortunately, this is the worst of both worlds, because you get everybody to believe in it, but if you don't deliver, then people's hopes and dreams die with your failure. And they will start to say, well, the tariffs didn't work. Well, that policy of restraint didn't work, and mass deportations, closed borders, that didn't work. That whole approach that Trump tried, look at where that got us. That is what they will say. And that is what they tried to say. Don't take my word for it. This is exactly what they tried to do after Trump's first term. Do you remember the whole DeSantis phenomenon? The DeSantis phenomenon was literally built on this formula that I'm describing, which is that after Trump left office in 2021, Republicans ditched him. And they said, we're all in on DeSantis. Why? And if you weren't paying attention then, it should be said, there was like DeSantis mania for a couple of years. 2021, 2022, everybody thought DeSantis was going to be the guy, and it was going to be Trumpism without Trump. And that was the pitch. They said, Trump failed, we need to try something else. DeSantis is everything that Trump isn't. He's a policy wonk. He actually knows how to get things done. He knows how to use executive power because he's a governor, and he's anti-woke and blah, blah. Okay, they said all this back then. And their entire pitch was based on the premise, hey, look, we tried Trumpism. It didn't work. Now we need something else. The only reason that Trump was able to recover is because the Democrats overplayed their hand and persecuted him. I genuinely believe that had Trump not been raided at Mar-a-Lago, had he not been indicted in March of 2023, I think it was, and convicted in the spring of 2024, if that had not happened to Donald Trump, we may be looking at a very different timeline where, who knows, maybe DeSantis would have been competitive in that primary. I'm not going to say that he would have won. I still think that in the end, Trump might have beaten him out for it, but who knows what would have happened. Trump really, it's hard to say, because he really got saved. He really got bailed out by the fact that public opinion turned in favor of him when the Democrats' plans backfired. They thought they were going to put him in the jumpsuit and get the mug shot and indict him, and they thought that would kill his chances. It literally did the opposite. And one thing after the next, the Mar-a-Lago raid, the indictment in New York, the conviction, the assassination attempt, it only made Trump stronger and helped him rebound. But they were getting ready, make no mistake about it, they were getting ready to dump Trump because they said, oh, well, we tried it and it didn't work. And what is DeSantis? Well, he was in the pocket of the Adelsons. And that's why. So this is the point that I'm getting at. If you're going to push these ideas, you have to win. It's win or die. And there is no middle ground where, well, he tried and he did some things, but it wasn't perfect. No, it doesn't work that way. If you make the challenge, you win or you die. There's no gray area. There's no middle ground. If Trump pushes tariffs, mass deportations, unitary executive, you have to succeed. If you don't, all those ideas die with you, and you're actually a liability. Case in point with the tariffs. If Trump had actually done them effectively by using these other laws, which are time-tested and weren't challenged by the Supreme Court, they'd be working right now. They wouldn't be subject to all this uncertainty because of the legal process. They wouldn't be refunded. They wouldn't have been overturned by the Supreme Court. And they'd be doing a lot better right now. But the way that Trump has gone about it, now that they've been overturned and now there's this $150 billion refund and everything's in chaos, well, people are saying, gee, tariffs are horrible. I don't know if we should do that. It's causing prices to go up, and now nobody knows whether to invest or whether to hold back. If you're going to do it, you have to do it right. So this is the tragedy of Trump. And I like the speech and I like the rhetoric. That was never the problem. When Trump is in campaign mode, you like him. The ideas are sound. And if you make the case, they're even popular. And that is the foundation of this entire movement going back to 2016. It's tariffs, foreign policy restraint, and it is nativism. Those are the three pillars of Trumpism. And if you just give people that, if you just give them that high energy rhetoric, and it's almost like an independent party platform, people will show up for it and they will vote for it and they will get energized. But you have to deliver, and that's always where Trump has failed. And failure's just not an option. That's why I'm so critical. So I liked the speech last night, but again, you go, where is that guy every single day? Okay, you've been the president for a year. Where is it? He's talking about the Somalian fraud at the same time that he's withdrawn from Minneapolis. So which is it? Are we getting on top of the problem? I thought we were just pulling out. So that was the State of the Union. I do want to move on, and very quickly, because we are running out of time here, I want to get into the situation in Iran, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. I'm sure we'll be talking about it tomorrow as well. There have been some new developments in the ongoing crisis in the Middle East right now. And related to the State of the Union, many people believed that Trump was going to address the crisis in the Middle East during his speech. And there were even rumors that Trump might declare war during the speech. that he might make the case for a war, that maybe he might announce a new ultimatum or a military action for that matter. And what is interesting is that Trump really did not touch the issue at all. He briefly discussed Iran and simply said that Iran will never be able to acquire a nuclear weapon, which is not really any kind of addition to the conversation. Now, the reason this is notable is because tomorrow, actually in a matter of hours, is going to be the third round of talks between the U.S. and Iran in Switzerland. We are also coming up on the deadline that Trump set to make a deal. So this might be make or break. Trump said last Tuesday that Iran had 10 days, maybe up to 2 weeks, to make a deal. Well, we're coming up on 10 days. It'll be 10 days on Friday. It'll be 2 weeks on Tuesday. So it looks like everything is riding on this meeting. It is really make or break. Whatever happens tomorrow, there might be a fourth round. I doubt it. And if there is, it's going to happen this weekend. Otherwise, it looks like we are mobilizing for a very serious military confrontation with Iran. There have been some developments on this front. The first one being, and this is maybe one of the more pessimistic developments, the Trump administration said in the last round of talks, which was last week, they said that Iran had a window to meet us where we are. It's like I said on Monday, this is not really a negotiation. These are really more just discussions. And the reason I say that is because the United States has made their position very clear, and they have a red line. The U.S. position is, we're not going to ask you to give up your missiles. We're not going to ask you to give up your proxy network. But you do have to give up your nuclear enrichment. You have to have a zero enrichment capacity. And that they have not budged on for a very long time. So they said this on Thursday. And the way that the White House talked about it is they said, you've got about another week to close the gap between your position and our position. That doesn't mean we're going to meet in the middle. That doesn't mean we're each going to give concessions. It means this is an ultimatum, and you are either going to surrender and capitulate to our demands, or we're going to war. So make up your mind. Tell us what it's going to be. Are you going to give up, or are we going to war? And so the administration said on Thursday that Iran had another week, there'd be another round of talks, but this is really where we are. So the Omani representative said, we will deliver Iran's response on Tuesday, which was yesterday. And the U.S. has received Iran's response. And according to Israeli media, Iran is not budging on enrichment. Now, they want to give concessions on their stockpile of highly enriched uranium, and they may concede that they will enrich uranium at a low level for a short amount of time. But according to all the information we have, Iran's position has not changed since last week. The new position they have delivered to the White House is unchanged. It's exactly the same, and they have not acceded to the demands of the White House. And if that's the case, going into these talks tomorrow, it seems like we're not going to get a deal. Now, there's been some other developments. The Vice President J.D. Vance said today in a press conference that the United States believes Iran is working on a nuclear weapon, which is the first that anybody has heard of that. Iran has always maintained that their nuclear program is for peaceful purposes, and they've also said that we're not pursuing a nuclear weapon. The subject of all these negotiations has really just been about enrichment. There has not been too much discussion about weapons because Iran has never publicly acknowledged the existence of a weapons program. And they don't claim to have a weapons program. So it's sort of interesting. J.D. Vance says, well, they are rebuilding their weapons program, and we can't allow that. And that's a very bizarre thing to say because, again, the subject of the negotiations is whether or not they can enrich at all. For peaceful purposes, for weapons purposes, at 1.5% and 90%. It's actually not even a matter of contention. Iran has conceded. They have no desire to build a bomb. Now, whether that is true and whether we believe them is another matter entirely, but that is their public position. later in the day, Marco Rubio came out, Secretary of State, and he said that it would be a big problem if Iran and the U.S. do not discuss missiles tomorrow at the negotiations. This is from the Times of Israel. It says, quote, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says Iran is attempting to develop intercontinental ballistic missiles, and that talks on Thursday with Iran will largely be focused around the nuclear program. However, Rubio warned that Iran must negotiate on its missile program. He said, quote, I would say the Iranian insistence on not discussing ballistic missiles is a big, big problem. So once again, it's a very bizarre comment because the entire framework of the negotiations is that we are not going to discuss the missile program. The only condition for Iran to even enter these indirect negotiations in the first place is that they are centered on exclusively the nuclear file. The Ayatollah has made it very clear this time around, as well as last year, that missiles and proxies are just not even on the table. They will not entertain that. And as a matter of fact, they have said, we will not even enter negotiations if that's part of it. And so all these talks that they're having, many of the preliminary talks are literally just about this issue, which is which topics will be discussed. And they have laid it out over and over and over again. The framework for this diplomacy is whether and what issues will be discussed. And we have been operating on this basis with Iran, that it's all nuclear. The first round of talks in Turkey, or rather, they were moved to Oman. The first round of talks in Oman, they said it's only nuclear. Big relief. The second round of talks in Europe, all nuclear. Tomorrow, all nuclear. And yet today, Rubio says, well, if we don't have a deal on ballistic missiles, well, then the whole thing is scuttled. It's going to be a big problem. And you have to ask, why is he saying that today? What is the purpose of this? Because it would appear that this is an attempt to scuttle the talks. You have, at the same time, the Iranian deputy foreign minister, which is the counterpart to Rubio. Foreign minister is the counterpart. The deputy is working for the counterpart. The deputy foreign minister for Iran says, we're close to a deal. It's within reach. We think that you're going to be very pleased on Thursday. And the day before, Rubio says, yeah, well, if it doesn't have missiles, it's going to be a problem. That seems like a really good way to spook the Iranians and either get them to pull out of the talks or at the minimum to scuttle any kind of progress that has been made towards a deal on nuclear. If Iran, and again, there's no rumor that this is the case, but even if Iran were willing to meet the U.S. where it is with enrichment, now you throw in the missile issue, which they don't even want to entertain? What is the thought process there? Now, to play devil's advocate, to answer that question, you might imagine a scenario where maybe this is a way to finesse the U.S. position and pursue an off-ramp. And what do I mean by that? Well, up until this point, as I've said for a very long time, the U.S. and Iran have these intractable positions. They're not reconcilable. They're mutually exclusive. The U.S. has said zero enrichment, and Iran has said we are never giving up enrichment. And our understanding has been informed by this dynamic. As long as that is the case, no deal can be made. And if no deal can be made, then there has to be a war quickly. And it will have to be a regime change. Anything less than regime change, if we just hit them, if we just degrade their forces, well, they will just build back up over time. And if anything, the types of weapons they will rebuild are exactly the types of weapons we don't want them to acquire. You see? So if we're telling them you can't enrich, and they're insisting that they have to, that no deal is ever possible, and if no deal is possible, then we have to suspect they're building fuel for a nuclear bomb, and they're building a giant missile arsenal. So the pressure is on us to hit them hard and hit them fast. And if we don't completely decapitate them, well, in a year, 2 years, they're just going to rebuild everything we blow up. So if we hit them, it's got to be decisive. This is the logic. This is the logic of the problem. So what you would say is that Trump is really in a jam here. There's no way to get out of this. There's no off-ramp. There's no way to de-escalate. There's no way to bring these positions any closer if Iran is obstinate. That is, unless you sort of finesse what your own position is. And so whereas the logic of this problem is based on the administration wanting zero enrichment, why do they want zero enrichment? Because if Iran can enrich, then they can make highly enriched uranium, and that would fuel a bomb. And if Iran wanted a bomb, then they could make one using that, and then they would be a nuclear power, and that's a big problem. But ultimately, thematically, our problem with enrichment is that they might get a bomb. So what if we finesse our red line and we say, well, we just don't want them to get a bomb? Well, Iran can still enrich while agreeing not to get a bomb. You see the difference? If you go and say zero enrichment, well, there's no room for negotiation there. There's no ambiguity. That's very precise. We're saying your infrastructure needs to be blown up and monitored, and if you don't do it, we're going to kill you. But if we say, well, we're not saying zero enrichment, we're just saying you can't have a bomb, and this is the finesse, we say, well, and that's kind of what zero enrichment is really pointed towards. We don't really care if you enrich at 1% or maybe have the facilities and don't use them. The concern is you might build a bomb. Well, what if we just sort of walk it back and we say, well, we're cool if you don't build a bomb? Is this where this rhetoric is coming from? Trump says in the State of the Union, Iran can never have a bomb. Vance says today, Iran can never get a bomb. Well, that has never been in contention. Iran is not publicly, openly, officially pursuing a bomb at all, and they never have. Now, whether they're doing that clandestinely is a different matter. Obviously, they have been, or they're pursuing a nuclear hedge. But their official position is, we don't want a bomb, we're not working on a bomb, we don't even have a weapons program. In other words, that is something they have already agreed to, at least nominally. So if all of a sudden the U.S. position has been altered from zero enrichment to promise us you won't get a bomb, you have now changed the position from something Iran will never agree to, and they have obstinately refused, which is zero enrichment, to something they have already agreed to, which is that they are not working on a bomb. Might that be the purpose? Now, considering the ballistic missiles, Iran does not have intercontinental ballistic missiles. They don't have them. They have the technology. They might be working towards one at some point, although they don't have any. But once again, just like with the bomb issue, the distinction, you've got the centrifuges and you've got a bomb. Similarly, Iran has thousands of short and medium range ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, drones, but it doesn't have anything that can hit the United States, an intercontinental ballistic missile. It mirrors the nuclear issue. Up until this point, Israel has been telling us, you need to force them to accept restrictions on their missiles. And what Israel is talking about is those thousands of missiles that they already have. Short, medium-range ballistic missiles, hypersonics, etc. Well, if suddenly Rubio is saying they cannot have ICBMs, they could hit us. Once again, they don't have those. So you take the position from something that Iran will not even consider discussing, which is their existing ballistic missile program, and something that is theoretical, which is what they might do in the future with the technology they have, an ICBM that could hit the United States. And so is this a way to finesse the U.S. position? And let's say tomorrow the agreement is that Iran will never build an ICBM and they'll never build a nuclear bomb. But they're going to keep all their ballistic missiles and they're going to keep their centrifuges but maybe not use them. Is that an off-ramp? Is that a way where everybody can be happy? That is maybe a charitable interpretation. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that might be one heuristic. Because when I hear these things, They're sort of a red flag where you say, wait a second, nuclear weapons? That's new. Because up until this point, the red line was zero enrichment. Now it's they have to agree never to get a bomb. And that's explicitly what Trump has said. Trump has said, we're looking for the words, we won't build a bomb. Well, Iran will agree to that. And same thing with missiles. When Israel talks about missiles, they're talking about those shorter range missiles that are going to hit Israel or U.S. bases. They're not talking about ICBMs. And suddenly Rubio is saying, well, the ICBMs need to be a part of this or else. And it sounds like the rhetoric is getting stronger, but in a way it's being softened. But it could go either way. I think, however, at this point, it is more likely that we will hit Iran. I think that just based on the force posture that has been assembled, the amount of air power, sea power, to me it just seems like an inevitability. If we have that much force there, we're going to tend to use it. You don't deploy that much force as a symbolic act. So if I had to bet, I'm still leaning towards there will be a strike. What that will be, I think the calculus now changes. But I will say that the chances of a deal might have just gone up, actually, based on the rhetoric from the U.S., because it did change. I told you last week the rhetoric from the White House was very cool. They were very cold towards these negotiations, and it was basically a take it or leave it. And then what we start hearing from the White House is that the generals are concerned. They have these reservations whether a strike will be successful. And they say that Trump is surprised the Iranians have not capitulated. So you start hearing these doubts from the White House. Now you get these positions, which, again, they're sort of a head scratcher, unless they're finessing their own red line. Now here's the last piece. There was an article in Politico today which says that the United States may want Israel to hit Iran first. Why? They say that if Israel starts the war and they hit Iran really hard, and then Iran attacks Israel and the United States, then it's easier for us to go in and hit Iran and make a case to the people that it's necessary. And maybe that is a way that we can symbolically strike them, do some damage, and that's a way to do your pre-strike. That's a way to do your small, narrow, limited strike with minimal retaliation to convince them we're serious and maybe extract a deal. Maybe that's another way to say, hey, if Israel wants a deal so bad, or rather they want us to intervene, then you start the war and you take your chances with Iran and you can take the brunt of the damage. Sort of an interesting thing. The same Politico article said that the Pentagon is worried that if we go into Iran, we're going to be stretched very thin in terms of our capabilities. And maybe China will be watching this and they will decide to make their move in Taiwan. There's only so many Minuteman missiles and Patriot batteries and THAAD systems and carriers and F-22s. There's only so much of all this stuff to go around. And if all of it is in the Middle East to fight Iran, maybe China decides now is the time. So you wonder who is leaking this to Politico and what is their endgame? Is that a message to Israel? Is that maybe a message to the electorate? But clearly there is a lot of movement on this question right now. I don't think anybody really knows what's going to happen. Perhaps a decision hasn't even been made at the top. But we will see what happens tomorrow. I think I'll probably be updating you tomorrow on the show after the meeting. Like I said, the Iranians and the Americans will be meeting again in Switzerland tomorrow. And this will be the third round of talks. And then we will find out if there's going to be another round, if there's an agreement. And then we'll see where we are. We'll see what the reaction is on both sides. But all eyes right now are on the Persian Gulf. A lot of moving parts here. But that's that. We are going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. I'm going to get set up here, and then we'll take a look. But I got to be honest. At this point, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed if there's no war. I can't even lie to you. Going to be a little bit disappointed. Not because I want people to die and for there to be a World War III, but it's like, one, I want to be proven right. That's a big part of it. But two, don't you just kind of want to see it? Am I the only one? I mean, seriously. I know it's wrong. I know it's bad. I'm not in favor of a war. But don't you just kind of want to see what happens? I kind of just want to see it play out, even though it's horrible, even though it's evil. It's just so much more boring if there's like a big peace agreement and everybody shakes hands. Isn't that so much more boring? I want a happening. I want to watch the live stream. I want to see it. Does that make me a bad person? I just feel like it'll be cool. I mean, at least the force will be cool to witness, even if it's not a good decision. So, maybe that's just me. I'm gonna feel like I got cheated if we don't get something, you know?
Rick 17 sent $20. Pay 5 feet 9 inches Trump beta. Why the low energy tonight? You hate on Trump no matter what. Speech was good tonight. Give him time, he's turning the country around.
Give him time. It's been 10 years. I love that. It's always, hey, we just need more time. It's like, that's just the wrong heuristic. You have to look at what is happening. You can't just look at the lack of progress and say, I'm sure it'll get better over time. You have to look at who is doing things and what they're doing. It's no good.
John Porter says $20.
And trust me, I think I'm actually fair when it comes to Trump. I think I'm objective. When he does things that I like, I support it. When he does things that I don't like, I don't support it. He just happens to do a lot of things pretty poorly.
John Porter sent $20. Someone called the publishing house of Merriam-Webster Dictionary and quickly informed them of 2 new words recently discovered in the English language whose pronunciations need updating. Rhetoric and hyperbole.
Rhetoric. That was pretty funny.
Pickled Beets sent $20. Candace blundered during the Eric and Kirk expose. Massachusetts, multiple times. That's pretty bad considering she's from CT.
Did you really say that? I didn't watch today. That whole thing is just... What are we even doing? Honestly. It's scary how many people are still bought into that whole show. How many months has it been? Has it been 6 months? Charlie Kirk died almost 6 months ago. And what evidence do we have that it's a conspiracy? Whatever happened to the Egyptian planes? Remember that? She hung her hat on Egyptian planes. I didn't do that. She did. She said in like 30 different shows, it's a God thing. I think it's those Egyptian planes. That's the key to everything. She literally said that's the basis of her whole theory. She said, I have this hunch. It's a God feeling. I just happen to know that the Egyptian planes are the key to all of this. Tucker echoed that and said, I happen to know that that is true for a fact. And whatever happened to that? Well, it turns out it was fake. It was a hoax. She just got all the information wrong. I don't know how. I don't know if she made some transcription error, but somebody bought the same data set that she was using, and she literally just had the wrong data. The Egyptian military planes were not on the same continent as Charlie Kirk or Erica Kirk's planes. And so this was basically just debunked. And she came out and said, oh, well, you know, maybe I didn't get everything right, but I'm going to put up this interactive map and I'm going to show exactly the truth. And she just never did it, just never spoke of it again. How are people still on this train? And you understand, it just goes from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, and there's never a follow-up. And you would think after 6 months you get something. They have this saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. Where the fuck is the fire? There's a lot of smoke, there's a lot of hot air, there's a lot of theories. Oh, well, why did they pave over the thing so quickly? Oh, well, how did that bullet not do that? And what about this? And what about that? Okay, it's been 6 months. Where's the evidence? Can you really even say one thing about this conspiracy? Even one thing. Even one thing at this point that points towards an alternative hypothesis. No. We still have no idea. It's France, it's Egypt, it's Israel. It's the CIA. It's because he was a psychic. It's because he was a time traveler. Now we're just beating this poor woman to death, Erica Kirk. And you know me. Okay, I think Erica Kirk, she's obviously a pageant girl. Like, I think that a lot of it is performative. And I think that Turning Point is sort of a sus organization. I'm not saying there's nothing weird going on there. I've been at odds with Turning Point for many years. So they are a corrupt organization, in my opinion. And Erica Kirk, I think she was in an arranged marriage with Charlie. Something was going on there. But now it's like, oh, she's transgender too, like Brigitte Macron, and she went to she was born in a military hospital. And it's like, honestly, I don't think Erica Kirk is at the center of the global conspiracy. But it's just, how many chapters into this season of the Candace Show are we in? First it was what was the first theory? It was the Netanyahu letter and the Bill Ackman retreat. Oh, that's all fake? Oh, well, it's about the Egyptian planes. Oh, that's all fake? Oh, well, it's about Erica Kirk. And it's like, dude, you met with her. You had a chance to ask her everything and anything. You had a chance to ask Turning Point everything and anything on a stream, and you didn't even show up. So I don't know who's even still on board. It's nuts. And, yeah, I think she's just lost the plot with it. And like I said, I'm not saying that's a white knight for Erica Kirk. And I'm not calling Candace Owens demonic. I don't think she's demonic. And I think, unfortunately, these other people, they're just blowing it. They are playing right into Candace's hands because they just fucking blow it every time. There's obviously some kind of influenceable campaign or something like that that went out the other day because they all have the same talking point. That much is obvious. And Candace Owens rightly pointed this out and said these people are all using the same talking points, and it's so, the way they're talking about it's insane. So the only good news is they're just eating each other, and I like to see that. Candace Owens is just doing damage to the conservative movement, and I kind of live for that. I don't appreciate the fact that she's not doing it with a ton of integrity, but she's fighting a lot of people that screwed me over. I say that's your just desserts. She's eating Daily Wire's lunch. She's eating Turning Point's lunch. I'm not complaining. And I think they're taking the piss out of her. So I say, let them have it. I'm actually, for once, grateful to sit this one out and just eat some popcorn, you know? But I will say, she's even making me feel bad for Erica Kirk. And I said, I was one of the first people to say, even before Candace, before anybody, I was one of the first people to say, I think Erica and Charlie were in an arranged marriage. Turning Point's clearly corrupt. And again, I don't think that they were killing him. I don't think they killed the guy, but this is sort of an abnormal situation. But even I have to say, leave this poor woman alone. It's one thing to scrutinize a person. Nobody's saying you can't scrutinize her, but now it's just like, I don't know. On some level, she did just lose her husband. Like, are we really going to go balls to the wall on this woman? And like I said, you can ask questions, you can criticize her. I'm all in favor of that. I mean, knock yourself out. I said the same thing in September. I said literally the same thing in September. But you also got to say, hey, I mean, her husband did just get shot in the face. And, I think it's a little bit over the top. Now they're trying to claim Erica Kirk is like the center of this giant conspiracy. I don't know about all that. I think that she's just kind of a spook. I think that she comes from like a spook family, to put it mildly. Her parents are spooked up with the military or something. And I think that she is somebody that was set up with Charlie because he was looking for a wife. And she was a political opportunist or something like that. And I don't doubt that they had a relationship. I don't doubt that they came to love each other. But I don't think that it was like, I don't think the story they said was true. Where it's like she applied for a job and Charlie was like, oh, hey, you're really cute. Let's go on a date. I don't think it happened like that. I think they got set up by somebody. He's a very powerful guy in the GOP. She probably had some connections through her parents. And I think they probably got set up and it was one of these political things. And they had a family together, and I think they probably came to love each other. And look, Turning Point is what it is. They make a shit ton of money from very powerful donors. And so I think they're a giant political interest organization. But to sort of imply that this is some grand thing and it's like, oh, it's a CIA military conspiracy concerning psychics and this esoteric thing, and you know, that's when you lose me. That's when I say that's just a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You know? Anyway, that's my take on the whole situation. So I didn't even watch the show today. I saw some of the clips on Twitter. But yeah, I think it's over the top.
Amanda Kuba said $25. Frown emoji.
Thank you.
Shoeless Joseph said $20. The merch pitch before the source change was my favorite part of the show. Always funny and unique. You earned your millions. While textiles may not be important economically, they are essentials. No one lives without them. Is the merch at least not from China? Is it from the U.S. ally? That would be respectable and consistent. Hot Dog Alex said $25. Is it acceptable to marry a full Asian if she just want a gold medal skating to a goat song in 2026? David Joe 101 said $20. Lex Wexner's lawyer threatened him to make him look innocent like Walter White threatened his wife and make her look innocent. And the going fell for it. Are you doing the full 20 grams of creatine? S said $20. Is this finally over? What even happened to BA? I'm asking because I remember you defending him in the joke 4 years ago. Now it's stuck in my memory as well. Nick's actually a good friend. Never do drugs. Turns you into a spineless flip-flop. I remember the video that he deleted the same day disavowing the alt-right then apologized.
Who? I don't know that person.
David Joe 101 said $20. Lex Wexner's lawyer threatened him to make him look innocent like Walter White threatened his wife and make her look.
That's a
Cliff Reuter said $100. Global Blue.
Global. Thank you for the big super chat. Look, you know, we're going to be charitable and we're going to say maybe she just had a brain fart. It happens. You know, some of the things she says, you can legitimately say, wow. Like when she says, what was the thing she said the other day? Anecdote. That's kind of that's a wow. Global Globe, I don't know, maybe she just had a brain fart. She goes, I should win a Global Globe. Oh, come on. I'm starting to feel bad for her. Now, every time she makes a mistake, people just jump on it. Every time she look, I'm a broadcaster. You flub. You say enough words in an hour, you're going to flub one or two of them. Now, it's one thing to habitually mispronounce a word because you don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. It's another thing to have like a little brain fart. We all have one of those. Anecdote, you know, that's one thing. But Global Globe, I'll let it slide.
David Joe 101 said $20. Sorry, duplicate, you can keep it.
Thanks.
Sam White said $20. Hey, Nick, a quick shout out to Max, who's a big fan of the show and is currently in Paris Island getting ready to die for Israel. Appreciate all you do. Nick, USA emoji.
Thank you, man. Yes, big shout out to Max. W.
Said $100. One thing connecting Jews, Muslims, and immigrants with regard to expectations of Americans, assimilation, scamming welfare, mass Islamic prayer in public, and subverting government is assimilation.
Yep. Thank you for the big super chat. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. They want us to choose and say, oh, we're Team Islam. We hate Islamophobia. And Islam's terrific because they revere Jesus as a prophet. And it's like, no. We don't want Muslims here. We don't want millions of Muslims here. That is not who we are. And it's because Islam is not the truth. Islam is not the truth. Jesus Christ is the truth. The Logos is the truth. Christ is the Word. The Word is with God. So no, Islam is a false religion. If you are a Muslim, you are worshiping a demon. Okay? And I know Nostra Aetate says, well, they worship the monotheistic God. They worship the Father. I don't think so. They're following some cult. I don't support it. I don't want it in my country. It is foreign and it isn't true. So they're trying to get you to go on that side. Oh, boo Israel, we're pro-Muslim. And the Jews are trying to do the exact opposite. And they're saying, oh, Muslims are the problem. Boo Muslims, and Jews are fine. Jews are fighting Islam. We're Judeo-Christian. We're people of the book, blah, blah. And you go, no, we don't want you either. Judaism is also a false religion. That is also a false religion. You're worshiping a demon too. Your Talmud, your mysticism, your Chabad Lubavitch, your Lurianic Kabbalah, you're worshiping a demon too. That's also a false religion. We don't want that here either. So it's like I say, we have to take our own side, even if you're a pagan, okay? Even if you're a pagan, even if you're a non-Christian, our civilization is Christian. That's our cultural language. That is our heritage. That is our moral vocabulary. We are a Christian civilization. And that's the big dog, and that is what we're going with. Even if you're not a Christian, it's what it is. That's Rome. That's Neoplatonism. That's the Scholastics. That is who we are. Contrary to Islam, contrary to Judaism, contrary to Marxism, liberalism. So, yeah, I agree. We have to take that middle path. And I'm so sick of hearing about, Islamophobia, Muslims are our closest allies. I don't think so. I'm not really about that. Because it's never a two-way street. And they come here and it's so funny. I saw this with Sneeko. You notice this with Sneeko? So the other day, Sneeko is responding to a video of Muslims praying in the park at night. And some boomer goes up to them and he's trolling them and he's yelling at them. And Sneeko goes, "They're not bothering anybody. No one's there. They're in the park. It's at night. They're not bothering anybody. They're just hanging out." And then where do you see Sneeko during Ramadan? Times Square, New York, in the middle of the evening. Oh, so what happened? So first you go, "Oh, leave us alone. It's Islamophobia. We're not bothering anybody." Then you're in Times Square. What's the excuse now? Now you are bothering everybody. And you know what you're doing now? Now you're an imposition. You're imposing that on everybody. You're in the center of our country. Times Square is the center of our great global city, of our empire city. And you are taking up space there for no other reason than to make a statement, which is we are here and we are Muslim and we are here to conquer. That is what that is about. So the goal there is to be as conspicuous as possible. And then you go, "You know what? This isn't a Muslim country. Pack it the fuck up and take it to a mosque. You're lucky we have a First Amendment. You do have freedom to practice your religion. Practice it in your constitutionally protected mosque." You don't see Christians doing a march with the rosary. You don't see a procession in Dubai. You don't see a procession in Mecca. You don't see a Christian procession in Medina or in those cities in Qum. You don't see a procession over there because it's not allowed. Christians have their area over there where they can practice, but it's not allowed everywhere. Certainly not allowed in the middle. And then you know what Sneeko says when you call him out? He goes, "You're right. You're right. We are Muslim, and we did just pray in New York, and we are. So which is it?" And this is what they do, and that is how they are. They're very crafty. At once, they play the victim. And they go, "Leave us alone. Islamophobia. Oy vey." They literally sound like Jews. They are literally just like the Jews. This is what the Jews do. The Jews will say, "We're the victim, anti-Semitism." And it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They say anti-Semitism is out of control. We don't feel safe in the city. And then they go, "You're right, we do run the media. We're going to crush you." Just like with the Muslims. Bismillah, Islamophobia, everyone's attacking us. And they go, "We are here, and we're in Times Square, and you can't do a fucking thing about it." And that's why Christians need to say, no more gaslighting. No more gaslighting. Raise up the cross. I want a Roman salute from everybody. A Roman salute to our Caesar. A Roman salute to our church. Hail Christ. Hail Christ. Hail Caesar. Hail Rome. Okay, this is the new Rome, bitch. And we're taking Muslims by their thobe and all their goofy shit, and we're taking Jews by their yarmulke, and we gotta flick them back out to the Middle East. Get the fuck out of here. This is a new Rome, bitch. This is a new Rome, motherfucker. Get on board or get out. Somalians, get the fuck out. Hasidic Jews, get the fuck out. Ben Shapiro, get the fuck out. Christians have to get real. Christians need to grow a pair of balls. Stop the gaslighting. I love to see it. I love to see the boomers out there in New York. Thank you, boomers. Thank you, MAGA boomers. I know you may not be based on Israel, but thank you, base boomers, for fighting for space in our fucking country. This is not a Muslim country at all. No Muslim roots here. This is a Christian country. When Christopher Columbus came here, it was a flag with a cross on it. It was christened for Christ. And this is a Christian nation. Don't make a mistake and think it's anything else. It always has been. How many of the colonies had a state-run church at the time of the founding? How many of the founding fathers were Christian? What was the percentage of Christians at the time of the founding? Who were the settlers that came here? The Puritans, the Catholics, the Presbyterians, all these other, the Quakers. What religion were they from? How many of them were Sunni and Shia? No, sorry, they were Quakers. They were Puritans. They were Catholics. They were Episcopalians. They were all different manner of Christian. It wasn't until hundreds of years later that you guys started coming in here. You should count yourself as lucky. And look, I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate them at all. And I'm not saying we should take away their rights. I think they should have a right to practice their religion, and they should have their same right as anybody else. But we need to fight for the core and the center. This is a Christian civilization, not a Muslim one. You want to go and practice your religion in your mosque, knock yourself out. But the signs are not going to be in Arabic, my friend. And you want to do your call to prayer, do it inside the mosque. Don't do it in public. And you see what's happening in Europe. This is where they're losing it. The call to prayer goes out in the United Kingdom, in the UK, in the land of the conquerors, the Anglo-Saxons of King Edward and Lord Nelson. You have the Muslim call to prayer, and they're so fucking dishonest. They come here and say, oh, well, John Adams said that America isn't Christian. Oh, I'm sorry, is the United Kingdom Christian? Is the United Kingdom Muslim? Is France Muslim? Is Germany? They don't care. This is lying. This is Takia. This is targeted lying. You are lying. So, someone needs to call it out. And here's the thing. They all want to say, oh, well, we're just being unfairly vilified by the Jews, and then they attack us Christians. And that I will not tolerate. You want to attack Israel? Knock yourself out. You want to criticize the Jews? Hey, you know what? Knock yourself out. You start coming for Christians, you start coming for the West, you start coming for America, now we got a big problem. Because I am an American, and I am a Christian, and this is a Christian nation. So that's a big... Don't overstay your welcome. It's crazy. That really pisses me off. It's always this one struggle, and then the second they find an opportunity, they want to put the screws in and they want to twist the knife on Christians and they want to criticize the West. The West is what gave you everything that you love about America. Okay, everything that New York was built by the West. New York is as Western as it gets. You love New York. You know what? You love Islam so much. Go move to Cairo. Go move to Cairo. Go move to Riyadh. Go move to Baghdad or something. Oh, you don't want to live there. I wonder why. Why do you want to go and live there? Because it's a fucking shithole? They go, oh, Western values are so corrupt and so sick. That's why you all live in London and New York, right? Because your values are so superior? Because your backwards religion is so superior to ours? Why don't you go live in Yemen? Go live in the land of the Prophet. Go live in the Hijaz. Go live in Yemen. Have a good time. They have minarets, and they've got the call to prayer, and they got all that. It's great. It's great. They're doing their dances and waving swords around. Be my guest. But you know what? In this country, you love it or you leave it. You love this country, you love everything about this country, or get the fuck out. We don't need any people that aren't on board with the mission. We don't need anybody that's not on board with the program here. We're the patriots. I'm a patriot. I'm a Christian. I'm an American. I'm a Roman. Take that magic carpet shit out of here. It's not what this country was built on. So, anyway. And, I like Sneeko as a guy, but he you see that approach, and it's so funny. So which is it? He goes, oh, Muslims aren't hurting anybody. They're just in the park. It's better than some degenerate Western concert. And then they're in New York and they go, yeah, I'm wearing my thobe. Yeah, I'm in Manhattan. Yeah, I'm in Times Square. Okay, so which is it then? Which is it? You know, the black people, they do the same thing too. The black people, they do the same thing. That's racist, that's racist. Oh, well, we the scientists of the earth. We the only inventors of the earth. We invented everything. And it's like, okay, so it just, you know, I hate the self-pitying stuff. That's why I tell white people, don't be an Oliver Anthony. Don't be a white nigger. Don't go out there and cry in the woods playing your banjo. I can't get a job. Blah, blah. I say whites need to take control of the situation. I push a message of action. Be an Oliver Anthony. Don't be a white nigger. Don't go out. He invented everything. And it's like, okay, so it just, you know, I hate the self-pitying stuff. That's why I tell white people, don't be an Oliver Anthony. Don't be a white nigger. Don't go out there and cry in the woods playing your banjo. I can't get a job. Blah, blah. I say whites need to take control of the situation. I push a message of action. Okay? Be as white as you can be. Be as smart as you can be. Be as martial as you can be. Whites are a martial race. We are a martial race. We practically invented organized war. Don't forget it. So we have to prepare for war. You want peace? Prepare for war. Become a weapon. I've always said this. Don't make excuses. Don't be a victim. Don't be pushed around. Get organized. Get organized. Find some like-minded friends. Get together. Go to the gym. Learn martial arts. Do tactical training. Get your bag up. Increase your influence and power. Take your own side. We have to become a powerful nation again. And we have to take our own side as a nation, not rely on these other people. Not rely on the Saracens. Not rely on the Jews. We have to take our own side. So, anyway, yeah, I see that clip, and it's like, okay, pal. He goes, I'm gonna wear my thobe. Yeah, I'm gonna wear my thobe. I'll be in Times Square. It's like, oh, so what happened to those Muslims of discretion in the park? Oh, I see. Switched it up. Switched it up, as always. We love Sneeko. No beef. No beef with him, but I just intensely disagree. Every time he gets on the Muslim shit, it pisses me off. It's always, it's a challenge. Because it just has no basis here. And it's like, little homie, what are you doing, man? You're born in New York. You're Filipino, Haitian, Hungarian. What are you doing hanging out with these packies? What is this brainwashed LARP? You gotta drop that. Pray for Sneeko. Don't rape Sneeko. Pray for Sneeko. People super chat, they say rape Sneeko. I say pray for Sneeko. Pray for Sneeko. God, soften his heart. Bring him back to the Lord. Reconcile him with Christ.
You got.
Sonny Faz, feed him to the Muslims. I hope they cut off his head. Sonny Faz, feed him to the Saudis. Feed him. I want them to get him like Jamal Khashoggi. But Sneeko, pray for Sneeko. He's got to come back. Otherwise, it's going to be like Kingdom of Heaven. It's going to be like that movie. But anyway, no, we love Sneeko. Sonny Faz, race traitor. You turned your back on your own people. But Sneak, we got to return.
36 above us at $30. Goyim in ascendance.
Goyim in ascendance. I like that. Goyim in ascendance. Goyim are rising up. So
Trigger
true.
merchants at $20. Nick, we conquered the world. Roman was we. You're Portuguese and Irish. You got raped by the British and bitched by the Spanish. And what the fuck has somebody done since besides being a liability in World War II?
Okay, Maine used to be
Andrew Johnson, 6
Thank you,
at $20. Last night I caught myself falling for the base rhetoric Fred Trump was saying, especially toward the Democrats, calling them crazy and just talking shit. But like you said, it's just a speech.
Yeah, don't get it
Plus
twisted.
$50. Nick, my father hopelessly believes that these are as are a conspiracy and thinks he's going to get free money for nothing. No matter what I tell him to prove, it's a crock of shit. He watches random unsubstantiated AI narrated bullshit. Please excoriate the whole thing so I have something to show him that will ground him and get him back to reality.
I don't know what that is. I've never heard of
David
that.
Sprinkles sent $20. No message.
Thank you.
Sent $25. W. Trump for shouting out as firefighters. I'm still hiding my power level at the station with the boys. The chief here has America first on every night. Any advice for us for firefighters?
Okay,
Who's
really?
on zero sent $100 for the titty bar.
Beautiful. Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it.
$20. She actually had some more with the clock in.
Dude, she was so nonchalant. What's her name? Sage? Yo, Sage. That was crazy. With the leopard print? Oh. Why did she hit it so nonchalantly? That was awesome. They pan over to her, she's sitting down. I thought I was in real trouble because they panned over to her and I was like, why is she kind of... And then they said she's transgender and I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I just got caught in 4K. But then they said, well, she never really transitions. We were rescued at the last minute. She's 19? Well, that's a little old for me, but you know what? Desperate times.
George's fire sent $300. I know it's not on the cards now, but is there a possibility of having security dialed in enough for a live event to happen one day? The conviction you create with your ability with fill stadiums.
Maybe. Thank you for the huge super chat, though. I appreciate it. You would fill stadiums. I don't know, man. I appreciate the big super chat. I just don't want to get killed.
Grassroots Squad sent $100. I admire your indomitable spirit.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, that's how it has to be, bro. We're on our penguin. That's on
Bill
penguin.
Maroon sent $50. The left says Renee Good or Alex Brady could have been it. Trump proved last night that the ordinary American was affected by illegal immigration. Those are the attacks that can happen to anyone. The people he under could have been any one of us. And Democrats couldn't even stand for those Americans while they were in the same room.
So, dude, this says so much about our society. That's so true. Why is that so true? So true, King.
Now Atheist Maximus sent $50. Your
Right.
message from the day on the 2016 election was such an awesome nostalgia hit. Miss that energy. Milwaukee versus New Wall.
No, I don't. But
Lil Wayne
thanks for
sent
that.
$20. PP Boo. I sent $30. Would you ever consider living anywhere else? If America falls, would you go down with the ship?
The only reason I would leave America is if I had to go into exile, which might happen. If I had to go into exile, then obviously then I would leave. Like if they were hunting me, trying to kill me, trying to imprison me, then I might move. But I'm not going to tell you where I would go. But I would definitely flee if I had
Dude
to.
Weather Hell sent $20. Thanks for keeping.
Like Lenin.
Dude Weather Hell sent $20. Thanks for keeping it real, me. MGS5 while listening to Stream W. I will never give up living for my people in the best way. Latin cross emoji.
Awesome. Love to hear it.
Randall from Recess sent $20. So
Great.
let's have a group from China to be this huge. Straight out of call. Heart of the city. We've got Phillips Park, we've got Slick City. Remember when Yankees crashed out about that fake report of Russia returning to the dollar? That would objectively be a good thing for the U.S., but it's a spiritually grounded movement.
DeKalb. That's not Chicago. I mean, look, I know I'm from LaGrange Park, but DeKalb, that's a stretch. A fellow guy from Chi-Town, DeKalb. Come on now. That is not Chicago. That, you know, people say it's a stretch if you're from Naperville, you're from DeKalb. Come on now. I've never even been there. But, yeah, we love Chicago. Shout out to my city.
Really, it sent $20.
Yeah, but we
For
love
watching it real time
Chicago.
and going take back the word going just like blacks took back the N-word and used it. Hasn't you for going as being a goy in my base for calling him going just like niggas being niggas?
I don't like it. I think it's dumb.
Lightning in a bottle sent $20. The idea of distinct sex chromosomes is misleading. The Y is the only sex-exclusive genetic structure, transferred paternally only from father to son. It's the image of passing down the torch. It's a tool responsible for all superior male attributes. Women aren't genetically unique. Everything they have, men have what they. Lightning in a bottle sent $20. Do possess a unique ability to pass down Mount DNA to all offspring. Mount DNA is the powerhouse of all cells. The Y and Mount DNA are the only genetic structures passed down as clones. I believe this truth is reflected in society through men's need for fraternity and women's struggle to empathize with men while the inverse comes naturally.
I'm not a science guy, so that's just going way over my head. Here's the thing, though. Here's what you have to consider. Women are egg carriers, so that there is something just even spiritually that women carry the egg. And that's really all that they are, is egg carriers. A woman is an egg carrier. She carries the eggs. They're going to love this one. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, women are going to love this. Okay, watch this. Watch this. Women are egg carriers. That's how you have to think of them. They're walking around with a ton of eggs. You might as well just imagine them with like a satchel of eggs. And that's why you can't beat the shit out of them. That's why it's frowned upon to kill them. That's why it's frowned upon to let them die in a sinking ship or a burning building. It's because they are considered more than just their own life. It's them plus the eggs, which are the future. So that's why it's frowned upon to kick their fucking ass, to kill them, to, like I said, let them go down with the ship. Because it's like, no, save the eggs. That's why, because you go save the eggs. A man, especially an older guy, is just going to die. With a woman, it's her fertility. She's got the eggs. So we got to take the female with all the future humans. She's like a spaceship with frozen embryos. That's the way you got to think about it. You cannot... The spaceship with the embryos on board has to reach the planet. They have to reach the exoplanet. The astronauts can die, but the eggs have to land. So that's a helpful way to think about females. Really, we men are the main characters. And women, their job is to just make more men. That's their job. Women's job is to carry more men and make more men. And men are soldiers, artists, philosophers, builders, workers. You know, men are awesome. And women are just like a factory of men. And they got to make some more women so they can make more men. And we can populate the world with soldiers and workers. Workers and soldiers. Soldiers and workers. Industry and the army working hand in hand to colonize and extract. And this is a picture of the future. Just imagine. I'm kidding. I hope you realize I am kidding. This is a joke. I'm riffing. In case you can't tell, or you're pretending not to be able to tell, I'm joking. This is a joke. I'm riffing. Just a helpful way to think about things. Sometimes I think about the world that way, and then I realize I shouldn't. Sometimes I think about the world in this way, and then I realize I shouldn't think about the world this way, because women are telling me not to. But yeah, I mean, just imagine a planet of soldiers and workers organized in a hierarchy, progressing technologically, economically, intellectually, artistically, and culturally. You know, that's a vision I can get behind. No, I'm kidding, of course. That's just jokes. I'm just kidding.
Dude, why the hell sent $20? Hashtag not all black people are apes. Smiley face emoji. Al Green does not represent Texas. Can we get a real United States government? Thanks for the hard work, Nick.
Yeah, so true. That was hilarious. Black people are... Not all black people are apes. He's standing there frowning. Not all of us are apes. Not all, Nick. Can't. No, come on. No. That's not funny. We love black people.
Roy the flight sent $25 from IAF headed to the gas
Black
station
people
in
are
Alabama,
human.
and an 80-year-old man said, I love the Nick guy. Made me Lola and say me too. Have a great rest of your evening, Nick. Thanks for the countless hours of great work.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. 80-year-old guy? You know, sometimes when it's the old heads that like the show, I'm like a little bit surprised. Because I feel like it's all younger people that like the show. We love the old heads. Pay homage to the old heads.
The Epic J sent $50. What's the difference between a black woman and a bowling ball? I could eat a bowling ball if I had two. Double sent $20. The Wops in Philly recreated the bar scene from Bronx Tale with Antifa at the Columbus statue. It still stands today, opposite of the Minneapolis retreat by Trump. Sometimes you have to slap a commie.
Okay.
Back 4570 sent $20. Hey sir, what are the odds you would make an American first welding cap? Love the show though, big dog, God bless.
Probably zero.
Need for Sniffer Kitty 43 sent $20. Are you going to publicly denounce the squatty potty? The founder just got caught trying to buy CP.
I knew that was coming. No, the Squatty Potty is a good product, okay? I know it was invented by a horrible human being. Like, it's sort of like Hitler with the Autobahn. except Hitler was awesome. Bad example. It's sort of like Jews with the nuclear bomb. Sometimes horrible people can do a good thing too, okay? Sometimes Jews invent something awesome, like the nuclear bomb. And sometimes gay pedophiles create the squatty potty. But I stand by the squatty potty, okay? It's ancestral, it's ancient, it's natural.
This dog hunts 988 cents for dollars. Visit all illegals home. Send their government the bill. Send all liberal communists to Canada. Sign up for AIDS. Send me the bill. Send the Jews home. Pay their own bill. Back to Cowboy and easy.
Great.
Taylor Worth said $30. I'm pretty sure Instagram changed the real algorithm. I used to see a lot of your clips on my feed, but today I saw multiple small accounts saying the Vatican secretly controls the Zionists. You and Candace are both secretly Jesuits. And a clip of you picking your nose in 2018. This might be the nail in the coffin for AFD.
I don't know. I feel like I still get it on my timeline. On my burner, it's all my content, so maybe that's true.
Chicago Brewers sent $20.
Maybe you're just have you?
Jesuits. And a clip of you picking your nose in 2018. This might be the nail in the coffin for AFD.
I don't know. I feel like I still get it on my timeline. On my burner, it's all my content, so maybe that's true.
Chicago Brewers sent $20.
Maybe you're just. Have you ever considered you're just being disloyal? Maybe you said something disloyal, Instagram heard it, and then they started giving you anti-revolutionary content. You ever think maybe you're just being disloyal? The goal should be, there should be zero disloyal speech. Zero disloyal speech. You shouldn't be saying things against the movement. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't be thinking things against the movement. If you're getting content that is anti-revolutionary, it's because you were thinking anti-revolutionary thoughts. So that sounds like a you problem. It sounds like you need to work on it.
Chicago Brewers sent $20. I've been following you for years now and keep seeing you replace your criticism of immigrants from Mexicans to Venezuelans. There is 50x the number of Mexicans here. They are on pace to become the majority by bringing less radical measures. Shouldn't we be focusing almost exclusively on them above all others at this point?
That's just totally... The reason I'm talking about Venezuelans is because they made up the bulk of the 10 million that came here under Biden. It's always some... You guys are always on some weird conspiracy stuff. He's saying Venezuelans now, not Mexicans. Yeah, in 2018, we were talking about the Northern Triangle because that's where they were coming from. The caravans were coming from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, just like in Biden's term, they were coming from Venezuela. I'm talking about a very specific problem. So when I say that, I'm referring to the special categories of people that have formed enclaves, like Haitians in Springfield, Somalians in Minneapolis, these Venezuelans that just came over recently. That's the point. Obviously, the illegal Mexicans got to go too.
You're in trouble.
But it's always on some... It's never enough for you people. It's never enough that you're in favor of an immigration moratorium. If you don't say the right thing or perceive to say the right thing in a moment, oh, well, you're covering for Mexicans now. No, it's because there were like 4 million Venezuelans that came in 4 years, which is crazy.
Pop Leland sent $20. Thank you for your steadfast defense of pedophilia. And I'm glad the age of marriage policy has an exception for running a harem of concubines and not getting married at all. Also, would you like to be in our prom group? We're getting a party bus. Waldo 39 sent $20. Hey Nick, loved the stream last night. Seemed you like most of it. Open mind. Did it pull you back in a little at all? Or just same old shit?
It's a speech. It is a speech.
Insurrection sent $20. This is a couple days late, but did you see the Baptist/Tourette's incident? Guy with Tourette's yelled the N-word at 2 black actors while they were on stage and it was broadcast. Black people on Twitter are having trouble understanding Tourette's law. Why he said ID when they were blacked out. Put a Muslim that retard.
Yeah, honestly, who cares?
He sent $25. Banana emoji. Nazism, not globalism, sent $20. The refusal of Democrats to acknowledge a rhinoceros' grieving parents is telling. They despise whites. Meanwhile, they gleefully send our tax dollars to Ukraine to fuel ongoing genocide of white Christians. Evil.
So true.
Roman really sent $20. I bet people would believe Candace more if she referred to aliens as space African Americans. His grieving parents is telling. They despise whites. Meanwhile, they gleefully send our tax dollars to Ukraine to fuel ongoing genocide of white Christians. Put a Muslim that retard.
Yeah, honestly, who cares?
Monkey sent $25. Banana emoji. Nazism, not globalism, sent $20. The refusal of Democrats to acknowledge a rhinoceros' grieving parents is telling. They despise whites. Meanwhile, they gleefully send our tax dollars to Ukraine to fuel ongoing genocide of white Christians. Evil.
So true.
Roy really sent $20. I bet people. Nazism, not globalism, sent $20. The refusal of Democrats to acknowledge a rhinoceros' grieving parents is telling. They despise whites. Meanwhile, they gleefully send our tax dollars to Ukraine to fuel ongoing genocide of white Christians. Evil.
So true.
Roy really sent $20. I bet people would believe Candace more if she referred to aliens as space African Americans. Anti-Z sent $67. Book Lucifer Fishback. Fishback for Florida. America first. Christ is king. Fuck Israel. Tangerine. You and Musk sent $25. Harry Sisson posted a gay little photo of him flexing. I laughed because he looked pudgy. I then realized he could mock him. Get it together.
Okay.
Brian Dino sent $100. Hey Nick, any chicks you have a crush on?
Thank you for the big super chat. Hey, come on, dude. She has to know who I am. She definitely knows who I am. Sage, if you can hear me, please hit me up. Sage, what was her last name? Sage, if you can hear me, please pull up in my DMs. Please DM me on Twitter. You know she knows who I am.
Trump 4D Chess Grandmaster Strategos sent $20. Sneeko Brownie out on Twitter. Jesus is a brown man from Palestine. Okay, Brownie. We love Sneak, of course. But holy brown. Can't take the third world out of some of these people.
Seriously, you can take the Browns out of the third world. You can't take the third world out of the Browns. It's unfortunate. We tried. We tried, fellas.
Osmo.
Send them back to Africa. No,
Osmo sent $25. Finally got my USA Borders zip today and liking the high quality compared to the other 100% polyester ones like it. I was thinking about getting a nativist flag, but do you think a Hispanic American can fly it? MH10.
That's crazy. Okay, maybe I don't know. How brown are you though? If you're like a brown skinned Mexican, I don't. Okay, if you're not, see me, I'm upper caste. If you're a lower caste, brown skinned mestizo, I don't think you can wear a flag that says "Beware of foreign influence." You can support the movement. I don't know. It's kind of like mixed signals. You know what? Knock yourself out. If you want to buy 1, 2, a dozen of them, hey, who am I to judge? Knock yourself out. You know, I'm just a humble flag salesman.
Sphobic 76 sent $20. Albania has an average IQ of 82. You're right. They are not white/European.
Really? 82? That can't be right. It's that high? No, that can't be right.
Dragonborn 0x sent $20. Free Harvey at DHC. Swimming issue 33 sent $9. I met a girl working up in Alaska. She's a single mom, but she likes outdoor activities. She's pretty, but most importantly, I accidentally found out she's a grower as well. She brought up your show first. Should I just marry her?
Single mom. I don't know about all that. Thank you for the big super chat. I don't think I could ever do that. You know, I don't think I could ever get behind that. And I know you should. It's like that's a personal hang-up because shit happens, you know, but I don't know if I could ever.
Just American 03 sent $20. Do you have any new speculations on how the Trump admin will look in the aftermath of impeachment?
Yeah, I kind of talk about it every
Shell
night.
Stepfather sent $20. Hey Nick, have you caught wind of the Zoomers like term Big Yahoo? A lot of Zoomers have been saying it as of late, and I wanted to know your opinion on certain concepts on figures like that.
What is the question?
Ken Goran sent $20.
What do you think about people saying Yahoo? I don't know, it's funny.
Ken Goran sent $20. I'm in high school and I've been wanting to show for a year now, and I have to thank you for showing me the truth. I bought a hand and a quarter zip to shoot my tanks. You're the best.
Really?
God bless.
Thanks. Are you a girl? I'm kidding. That's a joke. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But hey, big shout out. W High School. W High School are watching the show. Be careful with the quarter zip. I don't know if you should wear that to school. You might get in trouble, but W's in the chat.
Mark sent $20. My mom works for NYS and does home inspections for Hasidics that run in home adult care programs that are paid for by the state. They hate a woman coming into their home telling them what they need to do to follow the program's rules and keep their homes up to fire code. Several of these communities in the greater NYC area.
Yeah, dude, they're not from here.
Roy 7 sent $20. I enjoyed the speech, dude. It has some bangers. There was a little of the old Trump, but ultimately, he needs to back it up with legislation and he won't. He's failed us. But we have time to bring about actual change. First 2026,
Yep.
then 2028. And
First,
so
we gotta burn it all down in 26, and then we gotta run it back in 28. Burn it down in 26, raise up the battle flag in 28.
Francesco sent $100. The gay argument 8-year Grover for history has released something. I should have been in the gallery last night. He came from Italy labeled it Grover. Now he's been labeled a gay. Francesco, stand up.
Hey, thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, I don't know what that whole super chat was all about last week. You know what? I'll just say you were really close friends with that guy.
Francesco sent $100.
Why not?
No, but seriously. We're originally from a small town in Veneto near the Italian/Austrian border. We don't have gay there. The best friend is an Austrian woman on the other side of the border. That sounds so much worse. An actual friend. No sin. I thought I'd be called a fascist. Got called gay instead. Too bad I love this show.
She's a woman. That's not even true. You said it was a guy. If it's a girl, I don't even know if that's better. But thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, we've moved on, okay? We have moved on. You just lost Aura with that.
Green Icing Pro Viper sent $30. Was Joffrey a Chatter a Chud? What's the best season of God?
Okay, we really doing this? Was BuzzFeed? I don't know, dude. I watched it like a year ago. I think I liked the third or the fourth season, but it was so long ago.
Scruffle sent $20. Icing Pro Viper sent $30. Was Joffrey a Chatter a Chud? What's the best season of God?
Okay, we really doing this? BuzzFeed?
I don't know, dude. I watched it like a year ago.
I think I liked the third or the fourth season, but it was so long ago I don't remember.
Scruffle sent $20. No message.
Thank you.
Peter Geddes sent $21. Hey Nick, I heard you talking about Pakistani rat people that couldn't help but
Hey,
notice the
come
similarities
on,
with Sneeko.
come
Could this
on
be the
now.
result of baby milk consumption?
Okay. The Baby Bell thing is funny, but no, he's not a Pakistani rat person. Come on. I do love Sneeko.
We just have this religious war going on. What happens when your best friend is on the other side of the jihad? I'm in the church militant, he's in the Dar al-Islam. How can the two of us get along? I mean, I guess he's going to raise up an army. I will send the army. We have to just maybe find a common enemy.
Ladies Man 217 sent $25. How can you say that the Democrats want America to lose and that we would be screwed if they were in power, but at the same time keep telling grow-wipers not to vote? Between the Democrats that win, wouldn't it be wise to vote for the party that at least encourages American values while waiting for a true AF candidate?
Okay. I literally explain this concept every single night. You don't get it, so don't watch the show.
Somali Expeller sent $20. Celebrating the hockey team and the brutal iteration logging by Megan Hemhauser was a great night for white people.
I don't know. Oh, that white girl next to the fat black girl.
Drewster sent $25. I'm so happy Tyler Oliveira's expose on the Lakewood question has gotten so much attention. Grow-wipers are everywhere here in NJ.
Yeah.
PPL recognized and loved my Gia hat today. Was happy to see Governor Vanilla Harris get overwhelmingly booed off the ice at the Devils game tonight. Let's go Devils. Let's go Jack Hughes.
Let's go,
Umbrella
babes.
99 sent $20. I just got back into watching.
I'm not ready.
Nicholas F. Loves Soy Slob sent $20. What's your go-to case order? Pretty nice Grow-wiper sent $20. Today. Was happy to see Governor Vanilla Harris get overwhelmingly booed off the ice at the Devils game tonight. Let's go Devils. Let's go Jack Hughes.
Let's go,
Umbrella
babes.
99 sent $20. I just got back into watching.
I'm not ready.
Nicholas F. Loves Soy Slob sent $20. What's your go-to case order? Pretty nice Grow-wiper sent $20.
Okay.
Will you disavow Squatty Potty now? Most useless product I've ever seen anyway. Great show.
That's because you've never tried it.
Augustus sent
could you
$20. What are your thoughts on white people that speak Ebonics? Fair Bacteria Pod sent $20. Greetings from the Benny and Basil show. Read Lakewood versus Somalians. This is an instance where we say yes and they say no.
So true. What up?
Are you a fan or are you the man? Are you a fan? Are you the go?
Free Basil. Free Basil. What happened?
Basil, my Taliban friend, got banned from Twitter. We gotta bring back the Taliban. So true. Yes, it's a yes and. We gotta get them all out of there. I totally agree. And free Basil. I don't know. They keep banning all my niggas like that. What is that?
Please raise the price of premium from $100 to $1,000 per month.
We're gonna need to make another tier. Because it's too broke. The chat is too broke. We need to only have cognitive elite. So we might have to raise it.
Daryl Truth 03 sent $20. Funny how quick Mary Mendelson switched gears from Rubio to Trump and then gifted him approximately 90 to 100 mil for his last campaign. Poor Rubio polio.
Yeah.
Sabal sent $20. I'm so frustrated that Trump is building up forces in the Middle East while Mexico burns and Cuba shoots up our boats. At least Bush had our hemisphere relatively secure before going there.
That's a crazy
Rusty Screw sent $20. But think Pritzker.
At least George W. At least what? He started 2 wars. What are you talking about? At least George W. Bush. There was no problem there.
Rusty Screw sent $20. Think Pritzker will win again. Not a fan of feeling Benny and their candidate is miles behind.
I have no idea. I'm not following that. He'll probably win. This state is so fucked.
Some say Garage sent $50. They keep taking cut off YouTube. So you know where to listen to it? Album of the century.
If you didn't download it when it came out, you're not a real fan. You know, I have that. I've had that since it came out. So I don't know what you're doing.
Shavery sent $20.
You don't have the MP3?
Shavery sent $20. So Erica Kirk and Bridget Macron are actually men. Someone get Candace on lithium ASAP.
Yeah, that's just too much for me. People thought I was crazy for saying Jews have power. Now get a load of this. Everyone's transgender.
River Forest Grower sent $20. Tobin Brown sent $20. You're a good person, a patriotic person, and the best at what you do.
Thanks.
You are appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
$25. Trump promoting the ban on private equity single-family home ownership is pointless since the executive order did not contain the word divest. More slump for the base.
Really? Oh, so they don't have to sell the homes. Okay, I haven't looked into that too much.
Navarro 08 sent $20. Zerga, David Wood, Sam Shampoo, and God Logic got smoked by the Orthodox Muslim. Is the best of the best going to step up, or are you going to keep weaseling out like Ben Shapiro does with you? Be quiet.
You get the fuck out of our country. I love that. Be quiet. Why don't you shut up and go back to Pakistan?
Steve Bader sent $20.
And by the way, those aren't the best of our best. Those guys are numbskulls. Okay. Zerka's a numerologist. David Wood, what's his problem? Sam Shamoon is a pussy who got cucked by his wife. So, what's going on with Zerka? I don't like the whole Zerka seems to have a big problem with me. Don't bring me into it. You got a beef with Sneeko, that's your problem. I don't like what I'm hearing from him. You want a purity spiral? I don't know you want to go down that path. Yeah, Sneeko's pushing Islam, you're pushing numerology. Okay, so which one is better, actually? Zerka, why don't you start being Catholic? Then you can talk. You want to give me a hard time about Sneeko? Why don't you start being Catholic? Drop the Rosy Cross stuff and the numerology. Then we'll talk.
UC Vader sent $20. Al Green is the physical embodiment of his protest sign. Lombardo sent $20. Let the cross worshippers know that Sharia of Muhammad will be established by the sword of Jesus.
Yeah, that's just gobbledygook. Total load of nonsense.
Graham 76 sent $50. What's going to happen when the Muslims, Indians, and other third worlders take over? Balkanization of the USA? We are being it.
No,
Genesis sent $20. Deport Sneeko. I have said it many times, and you keep brushing it off. He is part of the problem. He is a leftist Muslim propaganda machine, and you keep Linen Pusher sent $20. Glad to see you finally pointing out the Muslims acting just like the Jews. Caps 13 sent $25. Did you see Crowder said he would debate you on going full black bill on Trump?
Oh, yeah, I'll debate him. Oh, 100%. Let's do it. I will 100% debate him. I did not see that, but I will do it. Good faith debate, but yeah, I'll do it for sure. We kind of did debate that. Well, at least we talked a little bit about the 2024 election thing, but yeah, for sure.
Green Runner sent $20. Shout out, Zerga, we are inedible.
Yeah, shout out
French
numerology.
Roller sent $20. Thoughts on the Tourette guy saying the N-word during the bathroom?
I have no thoughts.
Meat sent $20. Sage is 19. What's wrong with you? That's literally a child. Have any thoughts on the Biden, Selena Gomez clone conspiracy?
Okay, very
DeKalb
good.
Groy sent $20. Someone just sent a super chat from DeKalb earlier. That's my town. This is DeKalb Nigga. There is only one Barb African American. Anyways, love the show, Nick. Hard hand.
Thank you.
General George sent $30. Are you recruiting the dog doors for any raises? Larry Silverstein is a piece of shit devil cunt sent $20. Who do you think will win in a fight? Ben Shapiro or Mr. Hanky from South Park? My answer, Mr. Hanky. He's the little shit if you forgot he would knock out Ben Shapiro in the first round. Then Mel Gibson would come out of nowhere and spear him in the chest with an American flag like in the movie The Patriot. Cheryl Rice Urethane Slide sent $50. Here for the Greater Planet thanks.
Thanks.
He sent $20.
Right.
Pray for Sneeko. He said he received his sacraments except confirmation. He was baptized in the Catholic Church, so regardless of claiming Islam right now, he was claimed to Christ in our church forever.
That's true. You're always a Christian. Sneeko was baptized and got communion. Hey, man, you can never leave. You can never leave. The difference is if he leaves Islam, they'll kill him.
EHC Grover sent $20. I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire. Waldo 39 sent $20. Dollar.
Yep.
African American source sent $200.
Yo, thanks for the big super chat. Nigersaurus coming through. Very clutch at the very end.
Shilling Donald sent $20. You know who wasn't in the Epstein files? Dick Cheney. Dude just fucked over the country for the love of the game.
That's kind of fun.
Commonwealth Grover sent $30. We're in such a good mood tonight. What happened?
I don't know. Maybe different sleep schedule, different regimen. I'm on coffee, creatine.
Sage Blair sent $250. See you in the DMs.
No.
Red heart emoji.
No way. It's not possible. Different sleep schedule, different regimen. I'm on coffee, creatine.
Sage Blair sent $250. See you in the DMs.
No.
Red heart emoji.
No way. It's not possible. That can't be real. No, it's not real. Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it. Very funny. Wouldn't that be crazy, though? Wouldn't that be crazy? No, I'm not actually serious about that. But I appreciate the big super chat. Okay, that's our last super chat. That's going to do it for me tonight. Super chats weren't so bad tonight. Maybe 80-20, 70-30. That's all we got for you. Remember to smash the follow button, smash the like button, leave a comment. I'm on the air Monday through Friday. As always, thanks for watching. Big thank you to our top super chatters. Torches and Fire, Sage Blair, Francesco, Sage Blair. If you can hear me, please hit me up. Nigersaurus, Brent Peterson, Pope Groiper, Crypt, Uzo, Grassroots, and Brian. Thanks to them. Thanks to all our super chatters. Everybody that watches, we love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, have a great rest of your evening.